means temperatures will struggle to highs of just 4 or 5 Celsius in the northeast. There'll be a few showers here and also a marked wind chill. The sleet and snow showers will continue across Scotland as we go through the morning, with some significant accumulations, mainly over higher ground, but perhaps lower levels too. In Northern Ireland, meanwhile, we should see some sunny spells. A few showers are going to come through on the brisk winds, though, and these could be a little heavy. The persistent rain will clear southeastwards throughout the morning, with sunshine showers following. The risk of snow in the north continues.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm Mark Dolan. You're watching Headliners, a rapid-fire assault on tomorrow's papers in the company of two comedy colossuses. Colossi? Whilst I sort out my Latin, here are the headlines with Tamsin.
Mark, thank you. Good evening from the GB newsroom. The Queen has used her Platinum Jubilee message to the nation to announce she wants the Duchess of Cornwall to be known as Queen Consort. Her Majesty says it's her sincere wish that Camilla takes this title when the Prince of Wales becomes king. Clarence House says Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall are touched and honoured by the gesture. Her Majesty also marked her 70-year reign by renewing the pledge she made in 1947 that her life will always be devoted to service. The Prime Minister has announced 2 new appointments to Downing Street after a wave of resignations this week. Cabinet Minister Steve Barclay is to become Boris Johnson's Chief of Staff, saying it's an honour to have been asked. Gitto Harry, who was an advisor to Mr Johnson when he was Mayor of London, will become Director of Communications. Nick Gibb, who was Schools Minister last year, has joined a number of fellow Conservatives calling on the Prime Minister to resign. It's reported up to 17 MPs have now submitted letters, but a total of 54 are needed to trigger a vote of no confidence. Conservative MP for Thirsk and Malton, Kevin Hollinrake, told GB News the Prime Minister is still popular.
There's a lot of support for Boris Johnson out there. I mean, it's different in Westminster and it's different in the media, of course. I do not think we should have a Prime Minister removed from office in this country because of a media lynch mob. I think we need to go through this process properly. I think we need to see the results of the inquiry and the investigations and make a proper decision from there.
The Duke of York is due to give evidence under oath next month as part of the ongoing civil sex assault case against him. Prince Andrew will face what is known as a deposition in London in what has been described as a neutral location. Virginia Giuffre, the Duke's accuser in the case, claims he sexually assaulted her when she was 17. The Duke strenuously denies all allegations. Boris Johnson has spoken with the French president over the tensions on the Ukraine border. Downing Street says the Prime Minister and Emmanuel Macron both agreed a diplomatic solution remains the overriding priority. The French leader will visit Moscow next week to hold discussions with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. A new competition has been launched by the government to find the new home of the railways. The winning town or city, which has to be outside London, will house the new Great British Railways headquarters, and the winner will be announced this summer. This is GB News on TV, online and DAB+ radio. Now let's get back to headliners and Mark.
I'm Mark Dolan and this is Headliners, your nightly romp through tomorrow's newspapers in the company of two of the finest comedic minds in Britain. First of all, someone who got the American dream, then gave it up to live in Britain, and now it's too late for him to change his mind, Scott Capurro. Plus the award-winning comedian, writer, actor and activist. If we're honest, she hasn't really got time to be here tonight. Sajeela Kershi. Great to have you both. Sajeela, what's going on?
Oh, it's so good to be here. Lots of good things. I'm just prepping for a show tomorrow called Let's Kill Twitter. I'm in a quick plug here at the Bill Murray.
Hey, listen, we know no shame at GB News.
No shame.
Sell, baby. Yeah, well, we've got lots of big stories to get through. I think comedy might come up, which is, of course, your area of expertise. Scotty, what's happening? Are you raring to go tonight?
I'm so excited about it. And since we're plugging ourselves, I have a new YouTube channel.
Is this one of your X-rated endeavours?
Well, there's all sorts of things.
I know how you got into showbiz. I've seen the videos, Scott.
You saw me dance.
Should I just say you have abs?
Thank you. I used to. And I am an ex-dancer. Thank you for asking. But yes, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd be very appreciative.
Oh, there you go. Well, do it. Listen, it's always going to be entertaining if Scott is involved. And the same goes for Sajeela. We've got so much to get through. But before we let them sink their teeth into the papers, let's have a look at your front pages. And let's start with The Telegraph, who lead with Queen Camilla gets royal approval. The Duchess of Cornwall should be given the title of Queen, reveals Her Majesty on the day of her Platinum Jubilee. Sunday's Independent has Six Nations success for Scotland, and rebels fear accidental vote will save Johnson. More on Partygate from The Observer. PM's removal now inevitable, warns loyalist. Doesn't sound very loyal to me. The Sunday Mirror leads with Camilla will be Queen. Meanwhile, the Sunday Times lead with a revelation that private schools gamed COVID to boost grades. And also the Queen anointing Queen Camilla is a story that adorns the front page of the Times. The Express has the Camilla story as well, and also bullish PM's survival plan. Boris will know he's in trouble when the Sunday Express give up on him. And finally, the Star leads with off to her bed, Her Majesty's plan to quit within a year. And those are your headlines. So, Sajeela, Boris's closest, most loyal friends are saying, game's up.
I know. He's had a really bad week. The quicker he gets the knives out of his back, the more knives are going in his back. He's had like 4 or 5 resignations this week. And, oh gosh, the bookies must be having a field day. If you're putting bets on, when is he going to go? When is he going to go? But in a desperate attempt, he's trying to get a couple of guys in. One of them, the names...
Gogh Harry.
Yes.
Well, I know the name Gogh Harry because he used to be a presenter here at GB News. And there's a myth that somehow he was fired by GB News. That's not the case. He actually resigned, but he's got a new gig. He's a great guy, and he's got history with Boris, hasn't he? Because they worked together when Boris was London mayor. So,
Maybe he knew he had the gig coming up. Maybe that's why he left here.
Well, that's probably what it was.
Yeah,
exactly. It's that idea of getting the band back together, isn't
Sure,
it?
yeah. It's sweet. I mean, in a way for Boris, it's great because he's had 5 resignations. So you know what that means? 5 more parties, right?
God,
Yay!
I can just hear the suitcases full of wine creaking as they enter number 10.
That's the thing. It's like if he leaves, then he will have the biggest party. He'll probably rip that hideous wallpaper off and just crush biscuits, which is the kind of thing students used to do when they leave their last.
I don't think he'll leave, though. He will actually be fired. I think people have had enough, and I would be surprised if he made it till Monday. I really would be.
Yeah.
I think the Tories want him out. I think they want to regroup. They have 2 years to the next big election. I think they need the time.
Look, you're the consummate performer. From a showbiz point of view, what is the best way to exit the stage? Do you think he should really own this and just have a press conference tomorrow and just say, look, I got Brexit done, I kept Jeremy Corbyn out of number 10, and I'm out of here? Is that the way to do it?
I think he should say, I'm going out the front door and I want my cash on the way out. That's how you do it.
That's what you always say,
paid,
of course.
yes.
That's your catchphrase whenever you leave GBNews.
I want my cash. I also think that he has this weird thing, Boris Johnson, where the other prime ministers in the past, whether you like them or not, you could always say that they were dealing from some sort of moral position that they owned, that they felt was important. And no one gets that feeling from Boris. I think that's what he's lost, is the support of the country, because people don't understand what his moral compass is, or that he even has one. I think people find that very disturbing, whether or not they agree with him.
I think people just don't understand. He doesn't understand the pain that people are feeling and why they're feeling. He's so disconnected to the public right now. But I do think he watches GB News, and if you're watching Boris, go on, mate, it's time's out. Just go.
I think he's just opened a bottle of red wine off the back of that appraisal. Let's move on. Let's talk about Scotland beating England in the Calcutta Cup. Scott, you're obsessed with rugby, I know.
I am. I love the outfits. And they gave me the story, and I'm not quite sure why, because I'm going to read these details, and I don't really understand them. Scotland 2017 over England. The visitors had victory in their grasp, thanks to Marcus Smith's second half try, but late mistakes opened the door for Gregor Townsend's side to earn a memorable win. There you go.
Do you think that the hooker let them down?
I'm sure that means something else than what it sounds like it means, but yes, I think
we'll tread carefully. Look, it's a great sporting story, and congratulations to Scotland for that victory.
Fantastic.
Too right. There you go. That was Scott Capurro, our rugby correspondent. The Mirror are reporting that we are to have a new Queen, Sajila, as I've just mentioned.
Oh gosh, of course. Oh, well,
you're the Queen of comedy.
I'm the Queen of comedy, but there will be. So the Queen, as it's her 70th.
Jubilee,
right?
Tomorrow, 70 years in the job.
Yeah, I know. That's incredible, isn't it? A big fan of the Queen. But I think she's making, putting her house in order. And she's basically said that she wants Camilla to be known as the Queen Consort when she becomes Queen. So it's kind of like giving her, thumbs up, like we'll just let the whole hoochie mama cheating, on your first wife kind of thing.
Nudge, wink, wink.
And also, I have other children that are doing a lot worse. So, at least, he's...
Compared to Andrew.
He's doing...
Charles is like the bloody Archbishop of Canterbury.
Absolutely. And so, which is great, because it also then it's a signal to the public to say, look, she's all right, accept her.
Whether you like her or not.
Yeah, whether you like her or not.
Hey, is she a homewrecker, Camilla?
I don't know. I know that she paid a couple of journalists to chase down a car in Paris a while back. So whether or not she wrecked a home, she certainly damaged it.
No one will be cancelled on this show. Scott's joking, but I love it.
Of course I'm joking.
That's why we pay you the big bucks as well, by the way, for those naughty jokes.
No, I really feel with her that she needs the support of the royals to make her seem more appealing, because the public, they seem detached when she's in the room, don't they? They don't really care much about stories about her. This might make her more interesting.
I find her very dignified, because I think that was a tough gig, becoming effectively the Princess of Wales for the second time. She's the Duchess of Cornwall, just to spare her blushes. But it's
tough listening to Charles ramble on and on about nothing, about organic pears. Joe, for God's sake. Yeah, you can eroticize anything, I guess. I guess she's the proof of that, really.
Yeah, too right. Well,
she's earned her crown, I think.
Hasn't she just? Yeah. Arise, Queen Camilla. Meanwhile, we've got a sad end to a sad story in Morocco.
Oh gosh, is it a sad ending?
Apparently so.
Oh, spoiler alert, because I don't have the latest on that. Oh no,
Or
really?
is it a happy end?
Okay, so basically, there's a beautiful 5-year-old child in Morocco, and everyone's on tenterhooks. Apparently, this whole scene's been described, the atmosphere there, to the last to a film with Kirk Douglas back in called. I should put my glasses on, so vanity.
You're not a big Kirk Douglas fan?
well, yeah, not keep Kirk.
He watches the
Ace
show.
in the Hole. Ace in the Hole, right? So there's a film which I haven't seen, but this boy fell down a well. They've been drilling. They've been, pulling it out. They've managed to get him air, oxygen. But you just said that there was a sad ending, so I don't know how that's gone.
Last I heard, they were within 1 meter of him. They were very close. They were filming him. He slipped down while playing at his father's site.
Yeah, well, we're getting, I'm afraid, the really, really tough news, the awful news that he has lost his life, I'm afraid. It's an absolute tragedy. And, of course, we'll bring you more on that when we get it.
Terrible.
Terribly sad.
So sad.
An absolute human tragedy. Let's move on now to the Sunday Times, who are reporting on legal sanctions for online trolls. Scott.
Right. Apparently, let's see, where's the story?
I mean, no one would ever troll you. You just get fan mail.
I've asked people to, but they don't bother.
I'm told you just get sent pictures of body parts after your shows.
Can we? Let's do another. Might we do another story first? Then go back.
Please do. Well, I think that's an interesting one. That trolls one, because I think that it's like anything.
Oh, thank you.
Which is that. We hate the online abuse, but what I'm worried about is if you legislate against it, then it'll become someone's opinion as to what trolling is. That's my problem.
You know, weirdly, I have been trolled by a comedy producer in Sheffield online for quite a number of years. And every time I think he's gone away, he comes back. And his remarks are quite violent. And I know that he's probably kind of kidding. And I know that he has really no power over me in terms of my safety. But I can imagine how terrifying that is to have someone on you like that all the time. And there must be some sort of way to monitor this sort of behavior, especially, I think, for people that work in the public and that can't afford security, like
us,
or like Prince Harry, who's going to come into this country with no security whatsoever.
Because he's got heavies.
I do.
When Scott comes into the building, he's always got at least 4 butch men surrounding him, and I'm assuming it's security.
Well, my husband's Brazilian. He's quite tough. And he's proven that with me many times. So apparently I look better with a black eye. The point is, I think what we need to do really is kind of find some way, I think, to look out for these people, because everyone's vulnerable online. And the weird thing is, a lot of people put themselves in a very vulnerable position to begin with, don't they?
Yeah.
They put themselves out there so much.
I mean, can I offer devil's advocate, which is it's just words, grow a pair.
Yeah, I know it's just words, but I have been in a position where when it all started, social media, I was in a show and I got I got like all the death threats. I'm sure you haven't made it until you got death threats, right?
You got death threats?
Yeah, but it was horrible. I got so depressed that I got agoraphobia. I couldn't, and I'd get scared when the door was. I know that sounds really like dramatic, but but the thing is, it's toughened me up. Now I don't really care. I don't really read them. But I don't know. I agree with you, Scott, that it's not quite. I don't want it to be legislation, but I don't think people aren't going to behave themselves. We've got to do something.
Yes, and I know you say it's just words, and it is, but oftentimes, words lead to other things. I mean, I don't have any fear about it, and in fact, I probably elicit this sort of behavior from people. I do live in shows. I'm like, bring it. What else have you got? What else? But I think, young, impressionable people who've been raised staring at a screen, I think they're in a position of vulnerability. And we have to respect that. I mean, kids who are 18, 19, 20, 15, they've looked at this their whole life. That has a lot of importance for them.
Oh, I agree. The online bullying is, I mean, okay, so we're talking about adults, and comedians and, people in the public eye, but children, they've been suicides from that online
and they don't have
bullying.
the emotional or intellectual tools with which to process what's happening to them, whereas maybe somebody that's a little older, like ourselves, we would talk to people. I mean, this is interesting. This is legislation, the Online Safety Bill. Nadine Dorries is proposing potentially the jailing of these trolls. Is there no downside, Scott? I mean, is there no downside at all? Freedom of speech?
Well, and for one thing, there is no freedom of speech, really. Even that term, it has no basis in reality, because no one is free to say whatever they want. None of us are. As comedians, we self-edit all the time on stage.
That's true enough.
We self-edit on this
Obviously,
program.
not all comedians do, which we'll find out in a minute. But.
Well, I thought that was the story you were referring to, actually. That was where I was going. But I think, we all self-edit. It's called social discourse. And I think that there needs to be a limit to personal attack on people. Self-censorship is important, but I also think you can't leave it to people, because if you do, it becomes completely unruly.
Well, that's why I'm really angry, because it is like a minority that have they don't realise what they're doing, because once you start legislating, of course, it curbs on our kind of, freedoms, freedoms that we really enjoy. I mean, I didn't come to this country to take all your jobs, houses and benefits. I came for the freedom of speech, so I could say what I wanted, and I don't necessarily want that curbed. But unfortunately, people aren't going to play nicely if they're not going to play well. Then that is what's going to happen. So I don't know, maybe just a bit of decency on social media out there, guys? I don't know.
It would be great, too, if parents told their kids to stay off their phones for at least part of the day. Because I see kids on their... nieces and nephews, we go to family functions, they're on their phone the entire time. It becomes an addiction, And that addiction can be...
They're just watching Uncle Scott's YouTube channel. And they're like, wow, is that...
second plug.
Yeah. Is that how he got into showbiz?
Wow, he's very bendy, isn't he?
Uncle Scott's got abs. And then the nephew's like, those aren't abs. Now, let's talk about this. I do enjoy an ISIS story. They've opened an online applications website. Tell us more. ISIS, never out of the news, and this time an equal opportunities employer by the sounds of it.
Which is exactly what
it's a fascinating story, isn't it? We live in terror of hearing the word ISIS, and understandably so. But it's interesting because in some ways I do think they've got quite a good PR arm. You can't argue with the fact that the terrorists are very good at public communication.
They're great. I mean, they've moved so much farther forward than most people on social media, and it seems to be actually their main weapon right now of attack. And some of in fact, for one thing, this leader who was just attacked by U.S. Special Forces, where his home was bombed and he was, killed with some of his family members, Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Quraishi.
What a catchy name.
I know.
Obviously, you nailed that. He must be a friend of yours.
Well, we've talked. But he knew that it was coming, and he had been following them on social media, a weapon that he was using against the U.S. government. He knew from that they were coming after him. And it must be, it's obviously a double-edged sword, isn't it, then? Because you could be traced and you could be attacking at the same time.
Well, yeah, so ISIS need a new leader. That's the story. Nick Clegg?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're doing an apprentice-style, new ISIS leader apprentice. I don't know.
Your nominations,
Ottolenghi, come on, he's great. He can cook and rule at the same time.
Oh, I just wonder if they've got an HR department and it's like, protected characteristics and that's like, no, I don't want disability. Look what happened to Abu Hamza. He didn't work out with us because his protected characteristics meant we could not let him blow himself up.
It wasn't unusual actually for the U.S. government to procure a few Nazis after the war just to see how they done it. And I think I think they did, and I think the FBI and the CIA should get involved a little bit more so with capture, not just leave them on that island in Cuba with people that I think is suspected terrorists in that horrible camp. They should be bringing them in and say, how did you manage all this with so little finance and being almost invisible? Because we can't seem to keep up with what you're doing.
That's what I found suspicious. Is like, why do they not keep them alive? Why do they always kill them? Why are they always just completely gone? Surely we should be questioning them, exactly as you said, but genuinely to find out information.
I think there are some who are in that horrible prison, but I think treating them, with a little bit more, with a little bit more respect, you might get more information out of them and stuff. I mean, clearly, the U.S. government is behind in what's going on in the Middle East, and that has almost a lot to do with their lack of education about why that problem exists in the first place.
Yeah.
And the only way to educate yourself is to get the people who are on the ground involved, and there's a way to find them, and they're online.
Well, there you go. Would you like to be the leader of ISIS? I'll read out the P.O. Box address at the end of the show. That's it for part one. We've got so many great stories to come. Coronation chicken, more on the Joe Rogan saga, and Mike Pence slaps down Donald Trump. Fight the bitch fight. See you in 2.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hey.
I'm Mark Dolan, welcome back to Headliners. With me, the fabulous Sajila Kershi and Scott Kapuro. From The Observer, more mass aquatic deaths, a very worrying phenomenon, Sajila.
Oh, OK, so, you know, I've always wondered, like, in mafia films, they would say, oh, you know, if you're not careful, you're going to be, I don't know, I can't do the mafia accent, but you're going to be swimming, or you're going to be sleeping with the fishes. Well,
I think you should commit to the accent, by the way.
You're going to be sleeping with the fishes.
Swimming with the fishes. And I just realised I was sitting next to an American, probably Italian, are you? Yes.
I'm Italian.
Yeah. Oh, God,
I mean, this could be very triggering for Scott.
Cancel Sajila right now.
You might be a victim of the online safety bill, because Scott's feeling very unsafe now.
Is this an unsafe space, and that's why you've moved away?
Oh, God, I'm backing off.
Well, a giant trawler.
He's not that bad. I mean, it works out.
Do my best.
100,000 fish basically just kind of fell off this trawler, and you know they're whiting, which I didn't know what it was, and it's a version of cod, which makes
a lower version cod. They make fish fingers out of it. Yeah, ma'am.
And now I'm really angry that my fish fingers aren't cod, because it says cod fish fingers. So Captain Birdseye's been.
Is whiting like a cheap version of cod?
It is a cheaper. Yeah, it's a lower version of it. Yeah.
That must be so annoying. If you're a whiting just swimming around the North Sea, just thinking, I'm not even a cod.
Well, they might have committed suicide. That's why. So many died. They just felt bad about themselves.
Yeah,
low self-esteem.
One day we'll be skate. But this is what's happened to this fish?
So
these
fish,
going on?
they just kind of fell. They have like a mile-long trawlers, like nets.
That they drag this.
Drag the fishes, and then they use the actual boats as because they're so big, as factories to kind of which you know, they're saying it's not environmentally good, and these fish then fell off. They're all dead, so that's a load of fish wasted.
I see.
Which could have been eaten, and you should really, I think, I mean, I know it's not possible, but you should just catch what you eat or eat what you catch.
The process has been outlawed in Australia, actually. And they're thinking of outlawing it here because it does so much damage to the sea. The net is so wide, and they catch so much. And they process the fish on the ship. They try to do everything at once. And it creates a lot of pollution in the water as well. And then these fish they didn't make it into the process.
Terrible. Now, Scott, you're not a fisherman, but you do have the chunky knitwear.
Thanks for noticing.
I mean, look, let's move on, because that's obviously a bit of a sort of a disappointing story in terms of the environment and what a waste of food. But how about this, which is Donald Trump back in the news, having a bit of a tete-a-tete with his former Vice President, Mike Pence.
Former President Donald Trump, he's lashed out at Pence, saying that Pence had no right. He lashed out at Pence because Pence, in a public speech 2 days ago, said that Donald Trump had no right to overturn the result of the presidential election in 2020 when Biden won. As we know, Trump tried, you may or not know, Trump tried to call governors, he tried to find votes. He was calling the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Florida, saying there must be votes out there for me somewhere. Just dig some up. I only need 20,000 more in your state or 4,000 more in your state. Create them. And Biden said that, that was basically illegal. And then Trump called Biden a fool, and Pence said, no, Biden's right. Trump kind of tried to break the law, and he doesn't have the right
I
to
guess
do that.
the point about Pence is that he doesn't have any skin in the game anymore, right? He's not going to try to be U.S.
He
president.
is. I think that this is him making a bid to run for
Really?
president. Yeah. And also, you may recall that Trump, during those protests on January 6th in D.C., told protesters, go and get him. Pence is the problem. And some of those protesters said that they were going to hang Pence if they could find him. And this is after Pence dogged support of Trump for 4 years in office. I mean, applauding every ridiculous statement Trump said. But Pence now is saying, the election belongs to the voters. And that, in a way, is a statement saying, I'm running, I think.
I thought it was a very powerful speech that he made, actually. So I thought, actually, is he running? But you've just,
And then he kind of had to ask his mommy first before he made the speech, the wife. Yes, say, mommy, is this okay? He calls her mommy or mama, as we know. So him in office is a bit alarming. But anyway, yes. He's 62, so he's young compared to the rest of them.
He's got very neat Lego-type hair, hasn't he? He looks glued on.
Dead eyes. Yeah. He looks like
he's very God-fearing, isn't he?
Yes, and filled with sawdust. So I think he's perfect for the office. They'll just push him out on the balcony every 12 months and saying, Merry Christmas, go. I mean, the president at this point has so little power compared to CEOs and corporations in America.
Absolutely.
They just do what they're told, really.
Yeah, I mean, Zuckerberg versus Biden, there's no contest.
I mean, nothing. Listen, Zuckerberg has stand-ins. That's how important he is. Does Biden have a stand-in? No.
We wish he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting one with Pence because he's clearly upset the Trump supporters now. And you're in trouble when you're like, Mike Pence is not right-wing enough for you.
But Trump is being booed at his own events because he's encouraging people to get vaccinated. And that's become a huge political thing in the U.S., like whether or not you're vaxxed and whether or not you have access. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if Trump survives the next 3 years physically. He's in such bad shape in general, in terrible health. So whether or not he survives and runs again, I don't know. It could be interesting, though.
There you go. Unlike the incumbent at the White House, he's like an Olympic gymnast, isn't he? The picture of health, I tell you. America, surely you can do better. Let's move on. How about Scott Capurro? He's still got his citizenship. I love this story. Apparently, Coronation chicken was created for the Queen's coronation, Sajila.
So, Coronation chicken. So the Queen, obviously, with the Jubilee, she meets the woman who invented Coronation chicken. And she was a cookery chef, like a student when this happened. And Coronation chicken is a mixture of brown things and yellow things, and it tastes vile. It really does.
So it's chicken in a kind of creamy yellow curry sauce with raisins.
With raisins. And this is really the best that you could do for the Queen's coronation. And I don't know if she met her and said, "Oh, thank you, it's really lovely," but actually wanted to say what a disgusting dish it was. But because we have to remember, she was very young when she created this dish.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's met her, the woman who created.
Maybe they should have done a sort of special Royal Angel Delight or something. That would have been more glamorous.
Her name's Angela Wood. Talking of angels, her name's Angela Wood, the woman who created Coronation chicken. Does anybody like Coronation chicken?
Wait a minute. I mean, we all do. It's a national dish, isn't it? Well, Coronation chicken sandwiches, I always think of.
Oh, with raisins?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure M&S do one of those. It strikes me as the kind of all-night garage type sandwich, the Coronation chicken.
I feel
when
bad
you're sort of driving back from a show,
Yeah.
Of the night.
Sure.
You pull over.
Yeah, and that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
In the daytime, it sounds disgusting, but
at night,
right? Yeah.
I'd rather
it's a bit like
have
relationships, isn't it?
Prostitution. Yeah, in the daytime, I don't think so, but 2 in the morning, maybe a good idea.
I think they could have done better for the Queen. I'm just saying. It could have been something more.
What's her eating habits? She eats out of Tupperware on folding stands, doesn't she? She eats frozen food.
She's a very modest eater. She's a modest lady altogether.
Yeah.
Big day tomorrow, of course. 70 years.
Bless her.
Yeah.
Amazing. She's still going strong. Well, look, let's move on to our next story. The Observer have more on the Joe Rogan saga. Of course, Joe Rogan is the presenter of a very popular talk show podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience. He's a comedian and he interviews people across a range of subjects, including COVID measures and vaccine efficacy. And he speaks to lots of people who don't agree with received commonplace views about the pandemic. Scott, tell us more about what's happening.
Well, famously, part of the reason Rogan is in the press so much is because in 2020, he was paid $100 million by Spotify. So they own him. That's why they're more interested in protecting him than anyone else. When, Joni Mitchell has a song playing on Spotify, she's withdrawn her music in protest to Joe Rogan. Spotify get about 30 cents. When Rogan talks, they get $1 per dollar. They get every dollar.
Yeah.
So they're more concerned with what he does and what he thinks. And Rogan, apparently, a compilation of some of his podcasts have been put together. So it looks as though he's dropped the N-bomb a lot on that show, again and again and again, which he hasn't. But the compilation looks very disturbing.
It's a damning compilation, because that's what happens if you take jokes or comments out of context.
It does. And also, he has apologized and said, I know this looks bad. It wasn't my intention to make fun of people in that way or to use that word as a weapon against anyone. And he also made a reference to the African American community and paralleled it to the film Planet of the Apes on one show. So he said, in his own defense, he said, I was just trying to be entertaining. He kept saying that, I was just trying to be entertaining. And that's his form of an apology. I know Rogan, I've done a show with him. He's an amusing stand-up and very intelligent, actually. Much more intelligent than his persona would, you'd think from stories told about him in the press and the media. It's very important that people think he's intelligent. And this apology, I think, is to maintain a certain level of intelligent audience. I think he's afraid that if people think he's that guy that drops the N-bomb all the time or doesn't believe in the vaccine, as has been reported,
yes, because I believe
incorrectly.
He is unvaccinated.
I don't know what his vaccination status
I think what he said is he was supposed to get vaccinated for a live show and there was a logistical issue and he wasn't able to get vaccinated. And then
so he's not anti-vax?
But he would argue he's not anti-vax, exactly right. And what he's done, though, is he's entertained or interviewed people on his show, Sajila, who have differing views about the COVID-19 pandemic, including there's a particular doctor who has a history of working on mRNA vaccine technology. And this particular doctor is against mass vaccine rollouts. An unpopular or an unconventional view, but surely we need platforms that debate everything.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. We do need platforms to debate. It's always, I'd like to see the end of the debate. Otherwise, what happens is something happens, someone said something and I think it's outrageous, and then we just talk about that little bit. We don't talk about the other things.
Well, yeah. I mean, Robert Malone is the doctor that I've mentioned, who is a highly esteemed vaccine expert. I mean, the guy's worked in the vaccines for decades, so he's allowed a view, but he's been cancelled everywhere, including on social media. Doesn't he have a right to be heard? That this is the debate. Although I wonder whether Rogan has been undermined now with this latest video. Do you think that he is racist?
This is the thing. People say comedians have dark humours. When comedians are on their own, we say a lot of things that we wouldn't say on stage, we wouldn't say anywhere else. Let's be really clear about that. Right, we say things that
comedians
are outrageous.
seem to have a more extreme humour when they're off stage.
And so therefore, it's really hard then to kind of think, no, this guy is not a racist. I can hear those conversations that happen, why that might happen. And, I've been guilty of saying those shocking things for laughter because, one comic will say one thing and then you will go, well, you are the king of darkness,
Thank you.
But,
Prince, I think.
Yeah, but Prince. And the thing is, I do think this has now become a witch hunt because this was, I may or may not agree with whatever's happened on his show, but to go after him with every clip and somebody's dug that out, that is a witch hunt. That's not.
Also, he claims that he was using the word, he dropped the word as though urbanites drop it. It was urban speak he was trying to replicate. The way Richard Pryor uses the word, and he said, I know that I'm not black, so I shouldn't do that.
But he's a working class boy.
He is.
And
his audience probably respect him for that. And he is speaking...
And he is the biggest champion of other comedians, including comedians of colour, I think it's fair to say.
He is. He's also the wealthiest social media star in the world. So he's put himself in a position of, again, vulnerability, and he's trying to defend himself. And I hope he's able to, because obviously a lot of people like what he does and they want to hear what he does.
One of his closest friends in the business is Dave Chappelle. They've known each other for decades.
His best friend is black, that's right.
Well, is that the problem?
And you know, when Chappelle made that show...
But I'd love to ask Chappelle his thoughts.
Well, his most recent Netflix special, when he said that joke about... He tells a joke about gay men kind of coming after him in a social situation. And he said, gay men are liberal until it comes to skin color. It's a brilliant observation, very funny. And a lot of people have asked me, how do you feel about that? It's like, why should you ask me? It's bigoted for you to ask me, like I represent. I don't represent. I'm an individual, and I like the joke. But that's not what they want to hear, I can tell.
Yeah.
They want me to be offended by it.
You represent hot men in early middle age.
You know, get your hand off my leg. We're working.
Now let's crack on.
I'm kidding. Keep your hand right where it was.
If you happen to own a £90 million painting, would you trim off the edges to fit it in a frame, Sajila?
Oh, wow. So Van Gogh's famous painting, then wearing the straw hat, is... so it's in the gallery.
By the way, can I just point out that Sajila is GB News' art critic?
I am the art critic, that's right.
Scott does the rugby. You look after Rembrandt for us.
Well, I've seen the documentary or the film with Van Gogh. And
just describe this priceless painting as bloke in a straw hat.
Everybody knows that wonderful...
Is that what it's called, bloke in a straw hat?
It is now,
No, because I don't... Is it called bloke in a straw hat? So what is it?
Yeah.
What is it? You're more cultured than I am. I don't... It's the guy with the... Yeah, it's him. It's a self-portrait of him in the straw hat. And so it's gone to the masterpiece, the £90 million. I can't believe it cost that much for a start.
That's almost Joe Rogan, isn't it?
Yeah, almost. You could buy Rogan for that. Yeah.
But when they recently looked at it and they realised that the left-hand side of the hat has been hacked off, probably to fit it into the screen, or maybe to match his left ear that he cut off. I don't know. But the piece is obviously now worth about 2 or 3 million in itself, because it could be a collector's thing, like, you know, the Berlin Wall, they took a bit, and, you know, now it's a memorabilia, but it's also it's a missing jigsaw puzzle. So if you want to get the whole £90 million thing, someone who's got that little piece is sitting...
But they may have blown their nose in it. Someone who cuts out something to fit in a frame that's worth that much money is had a few drinks. They've had a few drinks, they've had a long day, and they just want to make a point. Maybe they're having an argument with their spouse, and they're going to show them who's got all the power in the house, but that person has not saved that piece of painting. They've flushed it on the toilet, or they've given it away. You know, it's crazy. It's lunacy.
I like the idea of them eating it. Like, well, no one's going to have it.
You know, in a way, I kind of like the idea of it being destroyed, because, you know, these things are worth way too much money. It's ridiculous. I mean, even Van Gogh would have said, you know, piss off with that. You know, this work, in a way, I love that painted that artist Banksy when he sold that painting, and when it went through the grinder after it had been sold at the auctioneer, and half it was ground out, and then it was worth more. Like you said, the grounded pieces were worth more than the non. It's all such a joke, the art world.
Well, there you go. Now, of course, if anyone was offended by some of the rather fruity language, we extend our apologies. The show is, of course, unpredictable, and these two are impossible to control. I've got to say, I'd like to make a few quid, so I'm going to take Sajila Kershey's biro and put it on eBay and see what it raises. I think at least 100 grand. Coming up, UFOs, Bigfoot, and Helen Mirren. Are you excited? I am. See you in 2.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan and welcome back to Headliners, in which we ring the doorbell of tomorrow's news and run away. Helping me do that are the double-edged comedic sword of Sajila Kershi and Scott Kapura, both very cutting in their humour. So we have got tomorrow's papers and lots of stories to get through before midnight. Up next from the Mail on Sunday, more university shenanigans.
Well, Cambridge has sparked outrage after ditching the LGBTIQ plus flag in favour of its own. Keyes College, founded in 1348, has a lovely flag that they think represents the entire community of that university, and they don't want to run any other flags up the pole that represent smaller communities or more diverse communities. They just want to be represented by one flag.
Their solution is, if you don't include individual groups, you include everyone.
You've got to include everything, right? And so the LGBT flag had just been rolled up for this month, because February, as it turns out, is LGBTIQ plus History Month. I didn't know we had History or History Month, but there you go. And they had to take the flag back down because they said, you know, look, we're all repped here. That's the flag. Love it, or go to Oxford. I don't know. They didn't say that, but.
Do you think it's the right move by the college just to go, you know what, let's not have any of this identity politics. Let's just celebrate this ancient institution.
Some people are embracing it, saying, "Oh God, finally someone is anti-woke. They're swimming upstream against the wokes." But I must say that when I was young, traveling in Europe, in university, it was a relief sometimes to see a gay flag somewhere. It really, when you're young and you feel, I mean, now I think kids have more freedom to be who they are, but it was always nice to see that floating and flying around somewhere.
Yeah.
Having said that, I understand why some people wouldn't want that flag and not everyone else's.
It's really interesting that you have that perspective.
Yeah, I am in agreement with you, and I'm glad you said that, and I hope you're listening out there, people, because I would love to see the rainbow flag. It's also NHSE friendly as well, isn't it? And I think, why not? Why does that have to be like once a month, or do you get once a month, do you now?
Well, we get two, because it's Gay Pride in June, so we get a lot of months.
I get clubbed into Black History Month, although I get lots of gigs then, weirdly, but I'm not black. I don't think people really notice that. But anyway, so I think I would love to see the universities, like, you know, taking a stance and seeing it. And I think that's so sweet that you said that you feel like...
I always did, yeah, and I do still. But I think that maybe what might have happened, because I read some background on the story, was they were asked to roll some other flags that they didn't want to roll, that they knew would offend people. Flags that represent communities that not everyone feels comfortable with. So they're like, well, we can't roll that one, we can't roll that. So we're just not going to fly any of them, just the one. Because otherwise it gets too political and people get offended, so we'll just do this one. And maybe once the controversy dies down, who knows?
What's
maybe
the
they'll
one
find a...
that they chose look like?
The gay flag? Or the one? No, their flag is gorgeous. I wish they had it up. It is quite beautiful. And it's very colourful.
Yeah, it's got some yellow in it and
all sorts of
sort of a shield in the middle. It's a very grand.
It's really pretty,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. But,
I think also they want students to feel one community when they're there, and they want them to work together. And I think isolating a community or a group in one college might create problems for them as well. It might separate them and make people feel like that's them and this is us.
Although I hear your point about the inclusion of certain flags that are a message to minority groups that you belong here and there is a warm welcome. And I really get that. But if you think about Britain as a whole, I've always thought that the Union Jack, the flag, is underused as a device with which to bring all of our amazing, diverse communities together. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we're so divided, and perhaps there are those that seek to divide us. I always think around the World Cup and the Olympics, those are times when everyone grabs the flag of St George or the Union Jack.
It's really interesting that you say that, Scott, because obviously I've never felt like the Union Jack embraced me for a long time, for a very long time. And then the Olympics happened, and I was so proud to be British. And then I went to the Paralympics in Rio, where your boyfriend's or your husband's from. And there, we only had like a towel, a beach towel with the Union Jack on it. And I was just like so proudly waving it because that showed everything that was beautiful about being British at the Olympics. I can't tell you how wonderful that was.
Sadly, the flag has been displayed to represent sort of more negative feelings about the UK, I think. And again, if you wave a flag, you can't guess people's intention. You just have to put the flag up. And I think that's what this story was about, is they couldn't guess what the intention of everyone waving whatever individual flag they wanted to wave was. So they just got rid of all of them.
There you go. Well, look, moving on to another compelling story. The Telegraph are reporting on Helen Mirren's response to the actress Maureen Lipman's comments on casting from earlier in the year. So, Gila, give me the story. What exactly happened?
Okay, so Helen Mirren has been cast in a role to play Golda Meir, who was the fourth Prime Minister of Israel and the first female head of government. So, huge thing. She did that from 1969 to 1974.
And, of course, a Jewish lady.
And a Jewish lady, yeah. Now, she got a lot of flack for why is... Maureen Lipman kind of said, Dame Maureen Lipman said last month that ethnicity should be prioritised, so that, in the casting of Golda, it should be done by someone who was Jewish, who understands what it is to be Jewish. Kind of contradicted herself, because before she had made comments that said, the challenge of acting is to become the character that you are playing, which I kind of agree with. Now, my son is an actor. Okay, so let's just go with Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren is saying, so if you're saying that only Jewish people can play Jewish roles, does that then mean that Jewish people can't play other roles? And that's absolutely right, because Jewish is not, it's not like you are blacking up or Jewish people can be represented by anyone, I think you just have to get into the character. And she's an exceptionally good actor. She's one of the best actresses out there. My son's an actor. He's got afro hair. He could pass off as Asian. He could pass off as black. He could pass off as Mediterranean.
Lucky him.
Sorry?
As an actor, lucky him, right?
No, lucky him. He has. And he said, I don't want to be typecast as the terrorist or, all the stereotypes. Why can't I play all these other roles? And I think that's really great that he is able to play all those roles if he's offered to them. So in the same vein, I think maybe... I am a fan of Maureen Lipman myself.
Great comedian, great actress.
Great, but I think it might just be a little bit like she's a bit annoyed that someone else has got the role. I don't know, we've all been there.
This question came up when non-gay people have played LGBT roles in the past. The gay community said, why don't you hire gay actors? And that question always was so strange because, it's a role, they're acting.
That's right. Jack Whitehall got some heat for playing a gay character in a Disney film. And he's a talented guy.
It's a gig. I want to be asked at some point to play, I never will, a straight role. I don't want to get guff about that.
Well, no, you're very good at transforming yourself, aren't you? Because you famously played a gay hairdresser in Mrs. Doubtfire.
A makeup designer, actually.
Whoops. Wikipedia.
Jeez,
lets me down again.
Good Lord.
By the way,
it's just hairdresser. You don't have to say the word gay first, by the way. Just hairdresser.
By the way, Academy, where's that Oscar? We're still waiting. Sunday's Observer next. Plastic-eating super enzymes, which sounds like a band from the 80s. I went to their concert.
As it turns out, this huge problem we have with 367 million tons of plastic produced annually and being dumped into seas or being dumped into, fill-in somewhere, which, people think, oh, well, they recycle it. They don't. No, they make a mountain out of it. because a lot of this plastic is single-use plastic, it's just a disaster. Although there are a lot of good uses for it. It's much lighter than glass, much easier to transport. So it turns out, though, that microorganisms that digest plastic have the potential to create an efficient method of recycling. These microbes they've evolved into the ability to consume one another. They're eating each other, and they can play a key role in reducing plastic waste and forcing us to create a greener economy. The plastic waste itself is how the biology works. I'm not sure, but again, it's such a strange thing that's evolved into this position where it can now consume
itself,
where it needs nutrition. It's so odd, isn't it? It's actually quite terrifying.
I think these pictures, I feel like they share DNA with my teenage son.
Because he eats so much.
From school with a litany of horrors from Sainsbury's. But I mean, look, the thing is, Sajila, we can debate climate change. Some people, I'd say the majority of people, think it's a clear and present danger and we must act. Others take a different view. They would argue that we've always had climate change. No one's debating pollution, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. I have a curveball here, because I just started wondering when I read this, and I thought, do you know, it's really weird. You don't see, like talking plastic, you don't see condoms like roll up on the beach anymore. So I just think at least that lovers, people in love, are being more considerate to the planet and the environment by throwing them away in the right way, or maybe they're just having more babies. I don't know.
Yeah, I think more babies probably, and also I think people are so much more conscious about about recycling, but they don't. I think they really don't know what happens. I think they think that stuff just sort of goes poof and is turned into trees and stuff.
I'm old enough to remember. You're not. You are, I think. The arrival of bottled water. When I was a kid, a friend of mine used to joke. Once you can sell bottled water, you'll be a billionaire because it's already there. And I just remember the advent of bottled water. In the old days, when you were thirsty, you went to the tap. I think these water bottles are completely unacceptable.
Oh, that's true. I was just thinking, what did I do when I was thirsty?
We didn't have them in the 70s.
What did we do when we were thirsty then?
You went to the tap, or you drank something called orangeade or lemonade.
Or you were dehydrated all day long, and you died when you were 68, all dry.
But you remember our wee in the 70s was very dark, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, I guess so.
Positively toxic.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure about that word, but a lot of these, a lot of companies are getting together. There's a lot of money to be made in recycling now. So that's one good thing about this. They're seeing that these plastics can consume one another, and they're trying to create that enzyme, that nutrition, that nutrient for these.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
well,
they can work together.
If they had that enzyme in our recycling bins, and that it would just recycle in 1 week before the next.
Well, it'd be amazing if it was the size of a cat. And you could just basically, a bit like when you give your leftovers, the moggy.
Yeah.
You just basically hand this creature a microphone a microwave you don't want anymore.
And it just consumes it.
There you go, Cyber.
Take care of that.
Look, let's see if we can squeeze in a couple of really quick ones. A story to provoke envy in all of us. This in the Metro on Sunday. A UK winner of Euro Millions. 109 million, Sajila.
Yes.
Incredible.
Headliners out there, I hope you're listening in. If you've got a lottery ticket with the numbers 03, 25, 38, 43, 49, with the winning lucky star number 03, 07, you've just won £109 million.
And that's the end of Headliners. We'll see you tomorrow. No, we won't. I'm just missing a 7.
So someone's got this ticket out there and needs to claim it. They haven't looked at it. But
when those numbers come through, they always look so obvious afterwards.
They do.
Yeah.
I could have got those.
I get that. I know.
And so Camelot are urging players to check their tickets to see if they've got the jackpot winner. And I think it's the biggest amount they've had for a very long time.
So, Gila, what would you buy with all that cash?
Oh, do you know, I'd like to say that I would help others, but I think I might just help myself a lot. And then I'd help others. I would, of course I would. I'd share it out with my friends.
Buy a painting with a straw hat on it?
No, I don't. I actually honestly don't know what I'd do with that much money. I think
I would buy Hawaii, and I wouldn't let anyone else come.
Yes.
I would just buy Hawaii.
Now you're talking. Can we get a quick word? By the way, someone that can buy Hawaii is Mark Zuckerberg. Mail on Sunday. Scott, what's going on?
Well, apparently Meta, which is now Facebook, has launched a personal boundary feature to stop avatars which are just animated things, from getting within 2 feet of one another. You can't get any closer than 2 feet with this personal boundary. They've responded to people's concerns that their avatars are being abused. When they go into little chat rooms or little bars or saloons, other avatars come up to them and touch them or poke them or knock them. Of course, it's all animated and it's not real. But the avatars themselves have the actual person's voice. And that voice, I guess, needs to stay now 2 feet away. You can press your personal boundary button.
Oh my
keeps you
goodness.
back off.
Luckily, Sajila and Scott are real and they will be back soon. Fantastic entertainment and some really brilliant stories there. We will, of course, be back tomorrow for another round of headliners at 11, 7 days a week. Tomorrow's front pages dealt with compassion and humour and, of course, striking good looks. Thanks for your company. I'm back tomorrow at 9. See you then.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite